Hello, this is Spartan Commander, and this is the 973rd Rome Total War Brotherhood game that I've put onto YouTube. And what a battle I've got for you today. A very rare close battle, and you can see that this is fought on one of our popular maps here, one of our popular custom maps. And over here, the rock in the center of the map here, can you see how there's higher ground just to the side of the rock there? And you'll find that both teams will try and go for that area just to get that higher ground advantage. Okay. Just to give you a heads up on that. And of course on this map you have got woods as well, so if you want to bring barbarian troops for the woods bonus, you can do that, or if you want to hide your troops to spring those nasty ambushes, you can do that on this map as well. So as I say, it's one of our more popular custom maps, and people seem to enjoy fighting their battles on it. Okay, our first teammate is Brotherhood member Sultan, who has unusually bought the Spanish faction to a normal 31k battle. How rare is that? Now he's got 10 bull warriors, 4 naked fanatics and 6 cavalry. And as I say, very rare. This is a no archer battle as well. Okay, so no archers, no slingers. I just want to show you the bull warriors here. Okay, they've got excellent morale like urban cohorts, and they've got 2 hit points, and the Spanish troops worship the bull and the sun god. So as we've looked at it before, can you see the horns of the bull holding up the sun there? So they're worshipping both gods there, and they're kind of like taking their gods into battle with them, if you see what I mean there, by the helmets. There's the naked fanatics. Well, I call them actually semi-naked fanatics. They're quite good solid troops as well. Be interesting to see how he uses them. There's a close-up of them if you haven't seen them before. And of course, unfortunately for Spain, all they've got is light cavalry. Okay, long shield light cavalry, but they can be quite effective if used, you know, in a good way there. So as I say, very rare to see. Oh, and also the naked fanatics, if you count the upgrades, to fully upgraded 3 experience stripes, gold shield, gold attack on the naked fanatics. As I say, very rare to see Spain on a normal 31k battlefield, as they are rated as probably one of the most weakest factions in the 31k world. Our next teammate is someone who's called himself Chinny Poo, but is in fact Scorpion King SR. Now he's got 5 light infantry, 14 heavy infantry, and a cavalry general. Okay, if you look at these guys here, you'll see these are light auxiliary. They can throw missiles. He possibly will use them as polar shield units there. And also I think there are anti-chariot as well. Okay, now if you notice the upgrades on his infantry, some of his infantry have just got 5 or 6 upgrades, but a lot of his infantry have got 8 upgrades on, 2 experience stripes, gold shield, gold attack. Okay, in fact I think that whole rear line of his battle formation are 8 upgrades, so that's serious there. And as I say, there he's also got 2 eagle units, so he's got 2 extra morale boosting units there on top of the fantastic upgrades he's got on a lot of his infantry. Plus he's got the old school cavalry armor general there. Okay, most of us used to bring this as our Roman general up to about maybe 17-18 years ago, when most of us changed to an infantry general. So this is a bit old school there. But notice something there in his army: no cavalry. Apart from that armored cavalry general, no cavalry. I would suggest that that's an unusual army build for Scorpion King, and we just have to see why he's bought that army. Okay, our next teammate is Brotherhood member Fesen with his faction of choice, Carthage. Now he's got 16 sacred band spearmen and 3 skirmishers. Okay, this is his normal Carthage army there. And as you can see, that's his faction of choice. No cavalry though. He never brings any cavalry in his Carthage army. Okay, and our last teammate is myself, Spartan Commander, who's got 12 Spartans and unusually 4 heavy pell tests. Now those of you that watch our battles regularly will know I never bring these units in my Greek cities army, but there is a reason for it. And when you see the other team, see if you can guess why I've got heavy pell tests in my army there. Okay, so there's our team. It's got the potential to be an absolutely cracking battle, and I hope you enjoy it. And here is the other team. We have Brotherhood member Vidar. Now Vidar's got 14 infantry and 6 cavalry. Not quite the bog standard 31k Roman army, because if you notice here, he's got his general as an eagle unit. Now you don't see that much these days. That's kind of old school. People in the past used to make their general the Eagle unit there many years ago. And how often do you see a cavalry formation like that? When was the last time you saw a cavalry formation like that? That is old school as well. I remember Brotherhood member Spearman used to bring a cavalry formation like that, but it's very rare to see these days. Probably Vidar's the only one to ever use that. Their next teammate is Brotherhood member Earth, who has bought the Numidian faction. Now, just to explain, that Numidian infantry are so poor, doesn't matter what upgrades you put on them, they just won't perform on the 31k battlefield. So the only way to make Numidia competitive is to change the rules for Numidia. So the only rules for Numidia are 3 elephants max, no artillery, no archers. Okay, so that is the only rules for Numidia. 3 elephants max, no artillery, no archers in this battle. Okay, so Earth's got 17 cavalry, okay, and 3 elephants. But I think 7 of his cavalry are missile troops, or horse archers, if you like. Okay, so it'd be interesting to see how he uses those during the course of the battle. They're fast-moving missile troops, and then he's got the light cavalry there as well. I think he's got something like 10 of them there as well. But as I say, Numidia's units are just so poor for the 31k battlefield. We're just trying to help them out as much as we can. So by changing the rules, look, it allows players to bring Numidia to the battlefield there. So I think, as I say, he's got about 10 light cavalry and 7 archers there, horse archers. And there you go, there's the if you haven't seen them before, that's a Numidian light cavalry, fast moving and with good upgrades on there. They can be okay, they're not too bad there. But of course the elephants here with a big fear factor, sapping the morale of enemy troops. I think they got something like 13 hit points, something like that, and a big charge factor and a big fear factor. I mean, elephants are so powerful on Rome Total War. So it'll be interesting to see how well Earth does with that Numidian army. Okay, their next teammate is Brotherhood member Royer. Now get ready for this, okay? He's got 17 infantry and 3 berserkers. Okay, 17 infantry, 3 berserkers, no cavalry. Now you've got a Knight Raider unit there. Now they're good infantry in their own right, but they actually bring a fear factor as well, taking morale away from enemy troops. Then you've got the actual effective against armor axemen there with excellent morale like urban cohorts, and they cut wide swathes through heavily armored troops like Roman infantry and can be devastating if used correctly. There's a standard bearer there, look, holding the standard of the Germanic tribe there. And then we're going to have a quick look at the berserkers there. Remember the berserkers with their 2 hit points, excellent attacking specifications, a big fear factor, also taking morale away from enemy troops, effective against armor maces, you know, real powerful, and arguably you know, these berserkers are the most powerful units in the game. And look at the size difference between a berserker and an ordinary infantryman there. See how tall they are, massive they are. Okay, so that's Royer's army. No cavalry though in that army. And their last teammate is if I remember correctly, GoTW Romex, who has bought the Egyptian faction. Now he's got 6 chariots and 14 Pharaoh Guard spearmen. But as you can see, most of his army are hiding in the woods there. You already got the chariots there, but as I say, the vast majority of his units are hiding in the woods. A very diverse team, I would suggest, there, with Rome, Numidia, Germania, and Egypt. It should be a cracking battle for you to enjoy. Okay, at this stage of the battle, we're going to talk about what I call shock troops. Now, obviously, the elephants here of Numidia, they would be definitely classed as what I would class as shock troops there. The sudden impact and penetration of elephants into enemy troops with the massive fear factor they've got can really cause mass routs. The Germania army, actually, I class all their units as kind of shock troops, really. Obviously the berserkers there with the fear factor that they bring, and they're effective against armor axes. They're shock troops, but the effective against armor axemen, once they start killing enemy troops quickly, they can be shock troops as well, actually. And of course you've got the chariots there as well. Of course, if they hit at the right time, you know, they can cause mass rout as well. So if you look at the enemy troops in general, they have got a lot of shock troops there, which could really decide this battle. And it'll be interesting to see especially how Numidia does in this battle. Okay, at this very, very early stage of the battle, we've literally just pressed start. You'll see Fesen going for that higher ground by the side of the rock that we looked at earlier. As I say, it's a good tactical place to get if you can. And if you notice here, I'm running my army over actually to try and link up with him over by that side of the rock. The team has agreed this is where we're going to fight on this flank here, so everybody's moving up there. Now what I wanted to show you here, can you see that obviously Sultan is the furthest away from this flank here. He's over on the right flank, and obviously we're looking to kind of fight over on the left flank, so he's moving up there. But what I wanted to show you here, can you see that he's just walking his troops? Now he's just walking his troops because he wants to keep them fresh, so when he gets up to the other flank he can put his troops straight into fighting if he wants, because they'll be fresh. But on this particular map, with the enemy massing there, I would suggest that maybe running might be the best option, and then rest his troops when he gets onto the other flank, because just walking there, I think that he could be a good target for the enemy troops there that are massing there. Okay, so as I say, I understand why he's walking, because he wants to keep his troops fresh from when he gets onto the other flank. But on this particular map, in this particular situation, I would suggest that running would be better for him, and then he can rest when he gets over here. Okay, you can see Fesen has got to that higher place there, that higher part of the ground there by the rock, and you'll see that the enemy troops seem to be moving away from him there. Now remember, these are the horse archers here, or horse missile troops as you could call them, and I think he's got 7 of them, so they'll be throwing missiles into our troops. Having that many horse missile troops are okay, but once they've thrown all their missiles, all you've got is light cavalry then. Okay, so as I say, here you can see that now he can see, Sultan can see the danger, and he's trying to move his troops away from the enemy troops there. Okay, and you can see here that Earth has spotted, you know, an advantage that they could have there against the Spanish troops, and you've got the chariots coming up there as well. Okay, so you've got chariots there coming in behind, and you've got the Numidian cavalry and elephants coming in. And of course, what I would suggest to Sultan is, okay, move back, but try to keep moving over to the other flank to his allies. Now over here you'll see you've got that big group of horse missile troops there of Earth's Numidian army. Looks like they're going after my Pel tests there, and you see I'm moving my Pel tests over away from those horse missile troops. Now here can you see that Earth is trying to cut Sultan off from getting over to his allies there. Okay, and you can see here, it looks to me like Sultan is readying his troops for an attack here from the enemy. Now he's got elephants and chariots and light cavalry there. They're looking to head in his general direction. Now here can you see that Vidar's cavalry has got the expanding glitch, and this is a nuisance when you get this. You can see his cavalry have just expanded there, and we call this the expanding glitch there, and it's such a nuisance when that happens. But luckily he's not near any enemy troops, so he won't lose any enemy troops here. But what I'm thinking here, can you see the Germanic troops and the Egyptian troops and Vidar's troops now? They could all head towards Sultan's Spanish army there, and his position there is I think quite dangerous for him there. You can see Scorpion King's brought his general over to try and give a bit of morale bonus to the Spanish troops, but you can see that Earth's Numidian troops are kind of holding him in place at the moment, and those chariots there as well, because I think Sultan thinks if he moves over towards his allies, he might get hit by chariots and elephants there. Okay, once again you can see the light cavalry there, the long shield light cavalry of Numidia there going after one of my Pel tests. Pause the game for a second here. So as I say, here we got up onto that high ground by the side of the rock. Okay, but you can see that the enemy troops that were in front of us have now moved round to the other side of the rock. Obviously they wouldn't want to attack up that slope there, so they've now moved all their troops round to this side of the rock. And as I said earlier, there you go, you can see they've all moved round. They may well all head for Sultan's Spanish army there. Okay, so what we need to do is kind of start moving quite fast and try to get over to Sultan, who is, you know, actually trapped over there, really. I think that's what he feels. Here you can see these horse missile troops there throwing their spears into my Spartans there. If you see there, can you see they're throwing the spears there into my troops? But of course, the Spartans with their 2 hit points and things like that are going to suffer minimal losses from missiles there, as we've seen in other battles there. So, but there's a lot of missile troops there, so there's a lot of heavy missiles coming in on my troops there. Okay, but meanwhile over here you'll see that Sultan is kind of making a dash, trying to get to his allies. Look, but it looks to me like he may well get hit by Numidian cavalry there. And the last thing you want to be is hit while your troops are on the move. You can see Fesen trying to get over to him as well. But if your troops get hit when they're moving, you can suffer big casualties from that. You've got the chariots just behind him. I can see the elephants are locked and loaded. And there you can see that Germanic army of Royer moving across there as well. So poor old Sultan, as I say, I believe he's in quite a dangerous position there. And as I say, you can see he's trying to get over to his allies, and you can see that Fesen is trying to get to him as well. There, could you see that Numidian cavalry? Earth stopped just before we charged them in there, because you can see the Spanish army has stopped moving over to the left flank there. Now you can see here, it looks to me, like I say, Sultan has got his army prepared for a massive hit, and it looks like he's going to take a massive hit here. Now, how well will Spanish troops do on a 31k battlefield against this massive amount of enemy troops? Oh my gosh, did you notice something there? All 3 berserkers have now been activated. Royer has activated all 3 berserkers. Oh my gosh. Now, do you think that those Spanish troops are going to rout on impact? What do you think? They're supposed to be the weakest faction with Numidia in the 31k battlefield there. And there you are, you can see those enemy troops hitting that. Bang! As they smash in there. Sultan's counter-attacking with his light cavalry. Look. Bang! As he smashes in there. You can see the chariots are there. And still, look, those Spanish troops are still holding. I thought they might have routed on impact with all those berserkers, elephants, and everything. But the Spanish troops are still holding, look. Oh my gosh, and they're rated as I say, Numidia and Spain are looked upon as the weakest faction in the 31k battlefield. But I thought they held well there against that massive odds that just smashed into them there. You can see that all the Spanish troops have now actually routed, but I must be honest, I thought they were going to rout on impact from those enemy troops, but they held, I thought, quite well. So you got the elephants there, look, smashing into them. You got the effective against armour axemen smashing into them. You've got the berserkers hitting them, and you've got those chariots coming in on them as well. And I thought they had, oh my gosh, and you got Vidar's cavalry smashing in there, and the Numidian cavalry as well. Oh my gosh. So I thought the Spanish troops actually, to be honest with you, held quite well there against those massive odds that just smashed them. But sadly, we've now lost our one of our allies there. As you can see, his whole Spanish army has now been routed, and in one attack, this battle has now turned into a 3v4. Okay, make no mistake about that. This has turned into a 3v4 there. So, as I say, you can see we're just getting our troops over there. We were running as fast as we could, but we just couldn't get to Sultan in time there. So, unfortunately, as I say, we've lost our ally there. Now, it wouldn't surprise me if his cavalry rallied. Okay, let's pause the game for a second, because yes, his cavalry did rout, but they've run a long way away from enemy troops that would have tried, you know, possibly tried to chase them down there. So I think there's a chance that this cavalry could rally. There you are. You can see they're already rallying there, so that's good news. You know, they may well be back into the battle when Sultan feels that it's the best time to bring them in there. Okay, so as I say here now, it is a 3v4. Right, can you see the berserkers starting to move towards our allies there, our Carthage ally there? You can see the SBQR infantry of Vidar moving forward, so I'm going to charge my Spartans into Vidar's infantry there. Okay, I'm going to be very aggressive. I put my team at a disadvantage because I've bought Greek cities, so I put them at a cavalry disadvantage, and the only way I make up for that is to be aggressive and attack. Here you can see the berserkers attacking those Carthaginian units of Fesens there. See how they use those axes to smash people up in the air. You can see the SBQR cavalry of Vidar smashes in behind those Carthage units there, routed a couple of units there. Oh my gosh. So, yeah. You can see there a lot of cavalry. You can see that Germanic army now moving in. Right, pause the game for a second here. So over here you've got an elephant unit. There you've got the Egyptian chariots and those well upgraded Pharaoh spearmen there moving in on Scorpion King's red Julii army. Over here I've got my Spartans attacking Vidar's purple SBQR infantry there, trying to be as aggressive as I can to make up for the cavalry disadvantage I put my team at by bringing Greek cities. But here you can see as I say, Fesen and Scorpion King's army seems to have integrated a bit. And as I say, the reason I bought these Pell tests, okay, can you think of why I bought these heavy Pell tests? Okay, well, the reason I bought them is because they're anti-chariot and anti-elephant. And if I can get the chariots or elephants in range of these heavy Pell tests, they could do a lot of damage to them. So that's why I've bought 4 Pell tests, heavy Pell test units there, is to try and counter the chariots and the elephants if they get in range. Okay, so as I say, those of you that watch our battles regularly will know I never bring Pell tests, but I have for this particular battle, as I say, mostly to counter the elephants, but they will counter chariots as well. But as I say, you can see my Spartan infantry there fiercely engaging Vidar's SBQR infantry, but I can see that massive Germanic army coming over, 17 infantry and 3 berserkers, don't forget there, and they're moving towards us there. I can see the some Egyptian spearmen moving towards us as well. Oh my gosh, and I can see Vidar's cavalry smashing in there as well as an elephant. Don't forget, those elephants might look like they're doing anything, but they're sapping morale away from our troops there. Okay, you can see Earth moving those elephants in behind our troops there. You've got all these Numidian, that's a missile cavalry. He may well alt-attack them if they've thrown all their missiles now. He could alt-attack them and charge them into us there, but they are only light cavalry. But you've got Vidar's heavy cavalry and the elephants getting in behind us there. Oh my gosh. And as I say, I've decided here to be really aggressive here, attacking those SBQR units. But I just want you to look at what my Spartans are thinking, look. Okay, if you notice there, can you see frightened by chariots? So that means they're having their morale sapped. Okay, once again, look at the writing there. Can you see frightened by chariots? So even though those chariots look like they're not doing anything, they're just sat there idle, they're actually sapping morale away from my troops there as I'm fighting the SBQR infantry. So as I say, a lot of you might be thinking, well, what are those chariots just sat there doing nothing? They are actually doing quite a lot in sapping the morale from our troops there, even though they're not actually fighting. Now you've got cavalry and all that Germanic army there, plus some SBQR units that could smash into the rear of my troops. You can see Fesen is now moving back towards the enemy elephants there, but all these troops here that have got a clear run into the rear of my Spartans. Now I'm just wondering whether Scorpion King will spot that danger with all the years of RTW experience that he's got, and it wouldn't surprise me if he's covered the rear of my fighting Spartans. And there you go, that's exactly what he's doing. Look, he's bringing infantry units over to cover the rear of my Spartans. He knows, after us playing for years and years together on RTW, that my Spartans would just keep fighting forward and forward against those Romans as long as their rear is covered. Okay, and that's what Scorpion King has done. He's brought his Julii infantry over there. Great bit of teamwork there, but those Germanic axemen, they could cut through Scorpion King's infantry there with their effective against armor axes. Right, pause the game for a second here. So as I say, great bit of teamwork here by Scorpion King and good battlefield awareness there as well. Brought his troops over to cover the rear of my Spartans there, but these effective against armor axes plus SBQR infantry as well could break through Scorpion King's infantry and come into the rear of my troops. Plus you got that cavalry there that Earth might decide to charge in there and smash in to Scorpion King's infantry with the downhill advantage that he has. Over here, as I say, you can see Fesen's Carthaginians there facing enemy troops that come in from that direction, and you've got Scorpion King's army integrated with his. There's an elephant unit there just waiting to charge in. Over here you can see these light infantry, these skirmish troops of Scorpion King there being attacked by elephants. There, let's have a close-up look at those elephants smashing those units there. Just look at that. Oh, that's a Germanic general dead. That's good news for us. So those elephants there, look, just smashed those light infantry. There's chariots coming in as well. So that's all of Scorpion King's light infantry has just been taken out. Okay, meanwhile over here, look, let's just pause the game for a second here. So at this stage of the battle, I've got Egyptian Pharaoh spearmen coming in on my flank, so I've got to turn units to face them. I'm obviously attacking the enemy SBQR troops, but also I've turned some of my Spartans to face the threat of those SBQR and Germanic troops coming in behind me there as well. So I'm micromanaging the best I can with my Spartans, facing all the directions that the enemy are coming in. Once again, see the chariots just sat there, just quietly sapping the morale away from our troops. Another chariot unit there, just not looking like they're not doing anything, but all the time just pulling morale away from our troops there, making us more susceptible for routing. Okay, so as I say, lots of pressure on my Spartans there, but great support by Scorpion King's Red Julia army. But oh my gosh, so a lot of pressure there. As I say, micromanaging my Spartans there the best I can. But over here, look, can you see them charging into some more of Scorpion King's infantry? Oh my gosh, I can see elephants coming in there. And the elephant's going to smash into my Spartans there. And bang! As they smash in there, elephants smashing into Scorpion King's infantry, as well as those Pharaoh spearmen charging in. There's Germanic troops in there as well. Oh my gosh. And I can see that Numidian cavalry. Can you see that Numidian cavalry? Looked like it was going to charge in there. There's that Numidian cavalry going to charge in. Get ready for this. Bang! As they smash in there. Oh my gosh. But I've turned Spartans to face the threat. I saw that cavalry coming in, and I've turned my Spartans there to face the threat of that cavalry coming in. So they've charged into waiting Spartan spears there. But over here you can see a lot of Scorpion King's infantry are starting to rout. I think we've just killed the Numidian general, so that's good news for us. And there, can you see those missile cavalry? Earth has now decided to alt attack them. Okay, so they've thrown all their missiles. He's now using them as like cavalry there, smashing in to enemy troops there. Oh my gosh, you can see they've drawn their little swords there to fight, so they alt attack with them. But also what I'd like to show you here is, you remember earlier we saw Sultan's cavalry rallied. Okay, so Sultan tactically has kept his cavalry hiding in the woods there, waiting for the right movement, right time to bring them out. And there you are, he's just decided now he's going to bring his cavalry out and smash into the enemy troops. Good tactical move there by Sultan. And as I say here, Scorpion King and myself now fighting those Pharaoh spearmen there, the Pharaoh Guard spearmen. Notice the chariots are still there, sapping morale from our troops. And more Pharaoh spearmen here, look, moving up towards Fesen's Carthaginians there. Okay, and as I say, you can see the cavalry, Sultan's cavalry that he's had hiding in the woods since they rallied, decided to bring them out, going to smash them in maybe into those fast-moving missile troops that Earth has just alt attacked there. Remember, those Spanish cavalry are light cavalry, so they're fast moving, the same as these missile cavalry there, so they should be able to catch them and rout them if they can get close to them. Over here, as I say, you can see the Egyptian Pharaoh there, guards there using their spears. And here's my Pel test now, throwing pilers into the enemy troops. But here, as I say, right, okay, so Scorpion King and myself, and there's a unit of Carthaginians there as well, have managed to rout the SBQR and Pharaoh guards that we were fighting. We now need to get our troops over now to help Fesen. So if you notice there, we're running our troops over now to help him there. There's that cavalry charging in there, look. SBQR cavalry, I think, and the missile cavalry charging into the back of Fesen's engaged infantry. But remember, Fesen's Carthaginians got 2 experience stripes, gold shield, gold attack on, so they're going to take a heck of a lot of routing there with those good upgrades on there. Okay, I can see, can I see chariots coming in behind us? Yeah, chariots going to smash in behind us. There you can see Romex has finally decided to charge the chariots in rather than just having them there sapping our morale. So, oh my gosh. And you can see Scorpion King's Red Julia infantry's got in behind the enemy troops there. Nice move there. And Sultan's cavalry, look, he's getting ready to charge them in again. Going to smash them into the back of those Numidian cavalry, I would suggest. Some more Numidian cavalry coming into the Scorpion King's infantry there, look. And oh my gosh, I can see a lot of the Egyptian spearmen starting to rout now. There goes Sultan's cavalry charging in there. Nice charge there by him with his rallied cavalry there, and it looks like our team has managed to go on and win the battle there. Okay, so it was quite a concentrated battlefield, if I remember correctly there. You can see there a lot of dead in that particular part of the battlefield there. And of course over here, this is where Sultan's army got smashed, crashed and bashed by that massive enemy attack that came in on him there. You can see chariot carcasses there, loads of cavalry dead, a lot of SPQR infantry there, looked like they were killed in that battle. And you can see loads of enemy cavalry there, dead Numidian cavalry where they charged in. Here's some elephant carcasses there. You can see lots of Germanic dead there as well. But you can see here where the most concentrated part of the fighting was there, just by the dead. I've still got my power tests left, or at least one unit of them left there, or they might be routed now. But they did quite well with their missiles. And as I say there, so it looks, as I say, like our team has managed to go on to win the battle. That's where those light infantry of Scorpion Kings were taken out by the elephants. Look, you can see a big pile of dead there. And if we look here, you'll see Scorpion Kings kept his general alive. The only man left in the general armoured cavalry unit there is his general. So well done, the Scorpion King, kept the general morale bonus going. And there where you can see that's all he's got left there. I think he got one unit with 10 men in there. You know, you can see how battle depleted his units are, from 81 men down to those units there. And you can see there that, bearing in mind what happened to Sultan at the beginning of the battle, he's still got 4 of his rallied cavalry units left there. So well done to Sultan there. And as I say, it looks like our team has managed to go on to win the battle there. Okay, so the first thing I'd like to say is really well played to everybody in the game. I thought everybody played well there. You know, it's really interesting battle, and as I say, a close victory is very rare these days, so I like to show a close victory battle when we do have one. And as you can see, it's very close. Highest kills in the game, luckily scraped into myself there, managed to get the highest kills in the game. If you notice there, I think I've got the second smallest army in the whole game there. Only Numidia had a smaller army than me. So I had the smallest army but managed to get the highest kills, so I'm pleased with that. But remember, it's how the team plays that enables the person with the highest kills to get those kills. So well done to Romex. He might be a little bit disappointed he got less than 1,000 kills, but I thought he did well with Egypt there. Well done to Royer. Look at the kills that Royer got with his Germanic army. Look how close he was to having the highest kills there. Remember, what his army was no cavalry. And well done to Numidia. Look what Earth's kills got there with Numidia. As I say, looked upon as one of the weaker factions. Vidar might be a bit disappointed he got less than 1,000 kills, but I thought he played well. Well done to Fesen, got some good kills with his faction of choice, his Carthaginian army. Well done to Scorpion King. Did you notice how he was supporting all over the battlefield there? So well done to him. And well done to Sultan. Now, bearing in mind he got smashed, crashed and bashed at the beginning of the battle, I thought that his kills are not too bad there, really. So well done to him. Faction advantage. Okay, so they got Egypt, Germania, Numidia and Rome. Okay, we got Greek cities, Carthage, Rome and Spain. So to be honest, I think we had faction advantage there. So well done to the other team, I think, for making this a close, just a close game there. So well done to them. As I say, we play Rome Total War every Friday, Saturday and Sunday night if you'd like to come and join us. Please leave your thoughts in the comments about this battle. It's nice to read what you think. Spartan Commander saying bye for now.